destroy Teletran 1, Dinobots destroy you!
Sludge not see these Decepticons before?
Not see again either, because we dynamite them to pieces! Dinobots! No fool around! Right, Dinobots! Transform!
It's bad news, Scrapper. They've brought out the heavy artillery.
Then it's time we did the same, only heavier. Constructicons, transform! Phase 1! Now, transform! Phase 2!
Prepare to meet your doom. Nothing can withstand the might of Devastator!
What is up, my Transformers family? Welcome back to George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformer fan. Today on George Reviews, we'll be taking a look at Transformers 1985 Generation 1 Devastator. Devastator is the combined form of all 6 Constructicons, which I have previously reviewed. And now we're going to get this guy merged into Devastator and review and take a look at the combined form. Before we get to that, I want to talk about Takara and how Hasbro got the license. And these guys came from the Diaclone toy line. But the biggest thing I always want to talk about when I talk about the Diaclone toy line are color variants. And I love the variations in colors that they used in the Diaclone toy line on most of their transforming toys. But in this case, I actually love what Hasbro did more. I like the green and the purple combination in the uniform team. So I do like these better. But I do want to give Takara props for putting those figures in a gift set. And in that gift set, they included a cardboard backdrop of a construction site. And they included a little plastic pit for the construction vehicles to work in. And they also included some very rare and hard to find, even when you're collecting the Diaclone set, some little blue rocks or plastic translucent pieces that went with that set. And it disappoints me so greatly that Hasbro dropped a lot of the little bells and whistles and the things that really made some of these toys fun when they brought them over to the United States and brought them over to the Transformers toy line. But what we did get in the United States was all 6 Constructicons with all of their main weaponry. And they were originally released on individual blister cards in the United States. So later on in 1985, close to the holidays, we got the gift set for Devastator. And since this is the combined form for Devastator, we're going to need the gift set to highlight Devastator's review. This is, if I can get it all in, the vintage box for Devastator. Has the styrofoam still in it. Has the artwork right here for our guy. Cool artwork on that head. Looks great. The vintage artwork was always wonderful. Right here on top of our box, it says, together 6 Constructicons form the mighty Devastator. There is our Devastator, and it has the same artwork that we got on the individual cards for the Devastator team members. On the back of our box, we have the space battle or upper atmosphere, whatever this is, battle going on. Very classic scene. Over here we have all the construction vehicles, and they show you a brief transformation that is present on all of our Transformers boxes. And down here we have Devastator tech spec. This is the only place you can get Devastator tech spec. I think you can read about it in Marvel Comics, I do believe. Right here it says construction, Devastator, function, warrior, thinking and winning do not mix. Awesome and terrifying. A bizarre combination of 6 Constructicons, Scrapper, Scavenger, Bone Crusher, Hook, Long Haul, and Mixmaster. Pure brutality. Sole purpose is to crush all in his path. His mind is a melding together of 6 parts. but limited to their competing thoughts. Enormous height, incredible strength, can knock down a bridge with one punch. Has 10,000 degrees Celsius solar energy beam rifle. Slow, awkward, not too bright. Here's our trusty decoder. Let's get it up against the box. All right, we have Devastator's strength at a 10. His intelligence at a 2. His speed at a 1. His endurance at a 9. His rank at a 6. His courage at a 10. His firepower is an 8. And his skill level is a 4. Alright, and coming over here, when you purchase this package, you got 6 robot points right there. Here's the moving on. Other than the decoder, what you would find inside of the Devastator gift set packaging, you would find this reinforcement catalog to order more Transformers. It was always cool getting bonus things and toy lines and mailaways. But we have the Power Dasher right here, possibly the worst Transformer of all time, certainly in the top 5. Over here we have the Omnibots right there. I remember ordering Overdrive as a kid, but that's a story for another review. The Time Warrior. I've seen this Time Warrior watch sell for over $300 in non-working condition. The order form for you to fill out for these guys inside of the packaging. That was always exciting stuff to see in the boxes. And then we have the 1985 catalog right here. This one is in pretty good condition. Open it up to the Decepticon side. We have a little battle scene with the actual toys right there. The Constructicons and Devastator right there. One thing of note, Devastator has a gray mixing drum right here. Maybe that was the prototype. Even on the vintage commercial, he has a gray mixing drum when the kids are playing with him. This sheet is full of prototypes. And like the Autobot side, wonderful color. And you see all the Autobots sporting their Autobot red throughout this catalog. So many red Autobots. So this was the 1985 catalog. And just like the back of the gift set box, the only way to get the tech spec was with the gift set box. And the only way to get this transformation booklet, instruction booklet, is to get the gift set. And this thing is kind of rare. Mine's in a little bit of beat up condition, but I still have it. You can only get this one in the gift set, and it shows like the steps for transformation for each one of the guys. This thing is pretty rare and pretty awesome. Alright, it's time to get to it. Now, I left these guys in their phase 2 mode where they have to combine their pieces attached, because this is supposed to like make them seem like it's less parts forming for the pieces that have functionality in their vehicle modes. So, understand that's why all this stuff is connected before we start, because I'm just going to take it off. So, shield off Scrapper. We're going to start with Scrapper, obviously. Rotate his arms down to the front of the shovel, and these little parts... These little pieces right here should be up so the shovel can lock into place like this. Oh, it's not up. And the head should be... My head is loose. The head pushes these out. When you put the head in, it's supposed to push these pieces out to help the shovel lock into place. But again, my head is loose, so it slides out. So it may slide on this video because these are old toys. Vintage stuff. Removing the gun from Mixmaster. Just slot this part out, rotate, and this one actually looks like a foot. And again, you see it. This is loose, so this is going to be tough going here. This stuff is going to fall apart everywhere. Next up, we have Long Haul. Remove this part right here, and we're just going to fold him in half. Then we are going to take this part and connect it right here. It slots in the right here, and then this little part goes behind this pin right here, like that, in there. Then we take this piece right here that becomes the waist. There's a port right there, and we just peg it in right here, just like that. We're going to set him to the side for right now, and we take hook, remove the head part, take hook, fold them in half, rotate them around just like this. Rotate this part. It's going to be the arm connector for Bone Crusher. Put this down. Now we take the head part, open it up. I'm going to rotate this missile down. I'm going to leave the missile on for right now. That's not how I display my Devastator, but for right now, the missile stays on. Slot this on, and this keeps the two halves together and becomes a connection point to long haul. So we have this now, and the arms are the simplest. You just completely just take this part off and just reconnect it. Turn him over, and there's a port right there, and we just put that on right here. And we have the left arm. Come over here and repeat the beat. Take this, and there's a port right there. You can see it's worn out. And just slide that on and kind of position this as you please. To that, oh, we have to extend this die cast portion right here. So now, let's get them combined. Scrapper pegs into this. These things are actually pegging in nothing. They grip on the sides, on these two sides up here. And boom, just clip that on here. This is how it looks in the back once you have it on. This little piece slides under there. I guess I should have mentioned that. Clips in underneath right here. Mix Master slides right on here. Nothing special about it. Boom. And that doesn't click on like it used to back in the day. And my Devastator has trouble standing, so spoiler alert. And there we go. We're halfway done. Now we take hook in the head portion and obviously port peg system right there. And we place it together just like that. Now we're starting to get some weight at the top. Adjusting for height and continuing on with the combination. Here is Bone Crusher. There is a port right here. It's a little square port and a die cast peg right here on Devastator. And we just slot this right on. There is Bone Crusher. And coming over here to Scavenger. And Scavenger has the most odd connector point you will ever see on any combiner ever. I challenge anybody to come up with a more odd combiner port. And then it pegs right into this plastic part. It's chromed out, but this is plastic. And you got die cast meaning plastic. And he is often in this type of plastic. The same thing on the other side, but like the plastic is different with that little black square. Now this is often broken on hook, making him the most fragile guy and harder to find in loose, good condition. You just kind of angle it down a little bit and it slots right in. And we are almost complete. Now we take the chest shield, a lot of molded in detail. I love the look of this, but the functionality is highly questionable. We'll talk about that. It has a clip right here and a peg right here, a port right here for the peg right here on Devastator's chest. And you just kind of put it on here. Now while the peg holds, the clip really doesn't do anything. So it's just held on there by that one peg. And when you start playing with it, it's Devastator. It pretty much falls off. Then we take his laser rifle right here. Pretty good looking gun. A lot of people believe it was never big enough. And inside this gun, the vintage gun has a 2 molded in right there. I think it's only on one side. It's just on one side. There's a 2 right there. I'm going to get this in Devastator's hand. And now our completed Devastator's armed up and ready. And here is our Generation 1 1985 Devastator. My personal favorite combiner of them all. Just like all G1 figures, it has a letdown in articulation. And I get it. It was G1. It was early Transformer toys. And a lot of these were conceptualized in the 70s. Actually, if you look at the Takara stamping. But he still looked gorgeous. Let's spin him around and check him out. The back of Devastator, it cleans up pretty good, even though he has some construction kibble like the crane right here, but it is not bad. This looks like a decent back. It's kind of open up right here, but it's fine for me. Spinning it around, and like I say, some of these parts hanging off that don't bother me actually gives the figure character to me. Speaking of looks, let's take a look at his face. Devastator face as seen as on the box art. He actually matches his box art. They didn't take a lot of liberties. He has the yellow eyes. The cartoon changed them to red, and then most of the time in the cartoon he was seen with a single red visor going across his face and more gray on his forehead other than that one strip in the middle. Missile attached to his head, which we never saw in the cartoon, and I never used it as a kid, never played with it like this. But I'm trying to do like a proper review, so showing that off. The chest plate looks good, has a lot of molded in detail on it. The waist down here, my stickers are worn. And the only really failing is right here is you have this Y-shaped thing connecting the legs, which if they had did a little bit better, we could have got leg articulation front and back. But I guess they wanted to stabilize it as a robot and have them stand up pretty good. The hands are hollowed out, which kind of sucked. On some of the other later combiners, they hollowed out the bottom, and you still got the palm, which made it look better. But that kind of sucked that the hands are hollowed out. So anyway, let's take a look at what articulation is there. It's not going to be much, so I'm trying not to be typical and crack jokes on it or whatever. I'm trying to keep it rolling, all right? So his head can look down like this, and that's it. It's looking right at the top of his chest, shoulder area. The missile, since it just ports in, you can position it any way you want or take it out and remove it. As a matter of fact, we might remove it for the remainder of the video, at least for the articulation rundown, so we just get a good look at him. Okay, now, so on the left side of Devastator, his arm can come up this far. We're going to remove the chest shield because the articulation is hindered by that. So we're going to take a look at what's actually there. The arm will 360 on this little joint here, and his elbow can bend up this far, and the elbow can bend back this far. I mean, it's not anatomically correct, but you can get this much out of the elbow, the hinge that's there. But with the chest shield attached, you can only get it up this far. You can't get it to articulate as well as the right. So let's take a look at the right. Because of his transformation into his construction vehicle mode, he can get a full 360 out of that. We can thank the vehicle mode for that. Move the crane out of the way. He has the exact same hinge we looked at earlier, but he has more mobility in it because of the clearance space. You can bring it forward and back this far, which is a lot. This arm is pretty much perfect. And they could have built this thing on the same style technology as this one, because the arm is hinged out past the treads. They could have did the same thing over there. They maybe could have put this arm, let's check it out. They maybe could have pegged it in over here, and it may have been out a little wide, but we would have got more functionality out of it. It would have been a lot better, and we could have got much more out of it. In the limited articulation that is there, that part kind of fails it. And now coming to the waist, all we get is this little waist plate here. No articulation, nothing else further, except unless you count this, because this is sort of the foot. And we can just, I don't know, have him make it look like he's taking one step. The shovel can move, but I mean, no true articulation there. And you were sort of, okay, on to the features in this mode. Now I took this off, we're going to put it back in. All right, the head rocket is a feature in this mode. And let's get this one huge gimmick or go-to for Japanese toys back in the 80s was the rocket punch. The best thing about this arm, we can pretty much bring it completely forward and check out that rocket punch. Not a whole lot out of it because of time and aging on the toy. Check this one out. And again, we got to kind of shoot somebody on the ground with it. But yeah, they both fire off, and that was a really cool gimmick back then. One thing that bugged me that they didn't showcase in the cartoon was his ability to switch these hands to these drill bits. And by being a construction combination combiner, to not ever use these was a true tragedy. You can also take the weapons that came with Mixmaster that plugged in just over his head and plug them into the arms and fire. And this one, you gotta just shoot somebody down in the dirt. Uh-oh, Spike's dead. It's time to size Devastator up and run him down. Here's Autobot Grapple, Dinobot Commander Grimlock, Power Glide, gonna lay a bomb on his chin. Optimus Prime, Devastator's arch enemy Omega Supreme. For some Decepticons, here's Ramjet, Shockwave, yeah, scale, right? And fellow combiner Bruticus that got lucky that one time. Alright, before I move on to the next part of the review, I want to share my thoughts on a 1986 movie series, Devastator. I would love to get a Devastator in that line. I'm very happy with my Combiner Wars Devastator, but I love the fact that he's huge, but he's a little too big. But I love it, but at the same time, I would like to get something smaller than the Combiner Wars Devastator, but still large in that line. And also, I have the same thoughts on a Masterpiece Devastator. I hope we get a Masterpiece Devastator. I kind of got out of Masterpiece collecting, but I would come back for a Masterpiece Devastator. But do not make it cartoon accurate. This is the cartoon model for Devastator. And the artist left out all the detail from the individual construction vehicles. And it really sucked in animation. It was like, I love Devastator, but like what they came up with in the animation, it just was not good. And I just wanted to put that in this review and say it out loud. Please do not make an official cartoon accurate Devastator. Please. Moving on. Okay, everybody, I want to give you some buying tips with Devastator. But before I do that, I want to catch you up on all the Devastator releases or Constructicon releases that are out there. We have the Generation 1 Devastator, obviously, and there are a few slight variances to this guy. One major variant, but a few slight variances to this guy that were released around the world. In the United States, we just got the basic green, but Hasbro actually licensed out their property to other countries to produce in different regions. I guess they didn't have facilities or distribution rights or something in these regions. But we'll start with the IGA. The IGA Devastator is a slightly different green, slightly different purples because they just had different facilities and the end product just came out different. I guess maybe they cut corners. And the IGA toy line was known for cheaper quality, brittle plastic, and very bad paint jobs. I don't have an IGA Devastator because it just was never different enough for me to go after, and I'm not that much of a completist, even though Devastator is my favorite combiner, and I own a few. But the major hitter, the big hitter in Devastator Generation 1 collecting is the yellow CG Devastator. This version of Devastator is yellow. It is not the Generation 2. The yellow is slightly different and the purple is slightly different than the Generation 2. And this was actually produced in France, Germany, Holland, Belgium, Spain, Austria, parts of Scandinavia. And the biggest difference is these guys had the Generation 1 rub sign on them and no Generation 2 stamping anywhere. This version is highly sought after by collectors, and I've never went after it myself personally because there are other versions of the yellow Devastator that satisfy my wants and needs. But moving on to the yellow version that I do have, there's a second Generation 1 version, and unlike the CG version, these were packaged in a different style packaging. The CG versions came in standard Generation 1 blister card and full card back bio packaging, standard that we got all around the world from Hasbro. But the next version of the yellow Devastator came in like a special European packaging, and they didn't come with connector pieces. You cannot merge these guys. And even if you went... Okay, so after those two yellow Generation 1 variants of Devastator, then we actually got a Generation 2 yellow Devastator and a KB Toy Store exclusive Generation 2 orange version of Devastator. Now, after those releases, we don't get another Devastator till Takara Tomy reissues Devastator officially in Japan, and you could go through like online toy stores to get them in the United States, or you can just order from over there. Then he got a second encore release that was anime colored, and I think I got a review up for that as well. I think the stickers were painted on that version. I have it. I can't remember. I actually reviewed it, and they updated the head. They updated. Here's the box right here. They gave him a cartoon accurate head, and they gave Mixmaster the purple mixing drum. So they made it different actually. I don't know, I could have just brought the damn thing out, but I didn't. But so those were the first two reissues, and then Walmart did a reissue, I think in 2018, 2019. I'll put it on the screen either way. They did a reissue for this guy not too long ago. And now currently they did a new version called, it's not Devastator, but it's the same mold. It's the Tonkinator. And they're supposed to be the cross between Transformers and Tonka toys, but I bet you there's no die-cast. So those are all the different versions of Devastator. So we are all caught up on a Constructicon / Devastator. So I want to give you some buying tips for this guy. Whenever possible, buy your Transformers complete. That's all of them. But when you buy them, try to buy in person at a toy show. That's always the best. You can pick it up. You can check it out. You check for all the pieces that he comes with. He comes with a lot of pieces because the individual Constructicons come with their own guns and own secondary weaponry, as well as the combiner pieces for Devastator. So you want to make sure he has all of those parts, and try to get him without sticker wear. But sometimes sticker wear lets you know that your guy is super vintage and not a reissue or a knockoff, and you want to buy from a reliable seller. And speaking of reissue and knockoffs, Devastator has a ton of knockoffs. he has a knockoff for the original Diaclone version. This is over 35 years old. And throughout the years, even before the reissue craze for Transformers in the early 2000s, Devastator has steadily been knocked off in slightly undersized figures on blister cards, strange multiple color knockoffs of Devastator. And then the Chinese company started knocking Devastator off of what people call the high quality knockoffs, which I found that those high quality knockoffs are nowhere near as durable as the Generation 1 or some of the reissues. Some of the reissues aren't that great. And not only did they knock him off, but they made him in yellow, they made him in the orange, then they made him in white, and they made him in all black. They put him in gift box, they put him on blister cards. So there's a ton of Devastator knockoffs out there. So that's all I got for buying tips and the history of this figure. He's my favorite combiner. I really love this guy. Always have, always will. Alright, I want to give everybody my favorite Devastator moment. And when I pull these moments, I try to draw from the comic books to when I found a toy in the store or something I saw in the animation. What really made me gush over my favorite toy. And it was the 1986 movie where Devastator finally got his due. Megatron says, "Merge for the kill." He turns into Devastator dramatically and goes to work on Autobot City, ripping through the building, destroying cannons, and taking cannon fire from Springer and Hot Rod and those guys, giant shells to the back and withstanding it all, and continuing to destroy the Autobot City. Then the Dinobots arrive, and you think that's going to be the Autobot saving moment in the movie. Optimus Prime says, "Destroy Devastator." Grimlock flies out of the shuttle, and you like, this is it. I love the Dinobots too, so I was rooting for both sides. And Grimlock flies in, and bah! Devastator kicks that guy, and as far as I know, he still haven't landed. Like, we didn't see him again for like 15 minutes till Galvatron came to Autobot City. The 86 movie was my favorite moment for the Constructicons. What was your favorite moment? Please share with me in the comments below. Talk to me. I will respond back, kick it with you. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching another episode of George Reviews. The reviews where every toy has a story and no one would follow an uncharismatic bore like you.